There are three pillars to having a good justice and crime prevention in any country. And first of all, it starts with the police. And of course, the police act as crime prevention, but they also act as in not only enforcement, but catching, shall we say, as well. So that's the first pillar. And the Conservatives absolutely love, oh my God, we've got so many police. Look at them, even though they've slashed numbers over since, the 2008 financial crisis. And they would love to say, oh, we're putting all this money into police. But again, the police numbers are nowhere near back to what they were before 2008. And you can track back to 2008, where you had members of the police who were being talked to by journalists saying, what do you think these cuts are going to do? And of course, the police not really allowed to make full comments, but off the record, a lot of the journalists at that time were going, the police were saying, oh yeah, these cuts are going to be bad on the record. And then off the record, they're going, no, these cuts are going to be absolutely catastrophic. They're going to be a nightmare. And we've sort of seen the results of that over the past 2 years. But that's one pillar of justice anyway. But you think, the Conservatives, they support the police, etc., etc. Well, the next one, of course, are courts and judges and barristers. Because to run an effective criminal justice system, once you've caught them, you then need to put them on trial, get them to stand trial, and have a judge pass sentence on them. And, having a fair trial as well is part of our criminal justice system, even if there was a woman standing in the streets who had her phone out recording the crime exactly in action. That person deserves a fair trial, regardless of what they did. Whoever they are deserve a fair trial. And ultimately, this is what we're going to be talking about in a bit. But the idea that this is taken seriously anymore by potentially this government is completely laughable. If you follow the Secret Barrister, if you look at their blog, follow them on Twitter, look at what happens when they talk about courts literally falling to pieces. Of one example of apparently where they were in court and the roof literally almost practically caved in from a leak. This is unfortunately the state of our court system. And it's not just crumbling infrastructure, the fact that junior barristers are being paid next to peanuts for what they want. You've had legal aid budgets slashed, which basically means poor people cannot afford representation, even when they gain access to the legal budget. There's almost no one wants to defend them because there's no money in it. And you're talking about people, potentially going to jail. And, if you want to keep that, the idea of the second pillar of our system having a fair trial, then you've got to have, a good legal aid budget. And remember, they went on strike, I believe it was in 2014, about the slashing of this legal aid budget. But it's been cut by over 40%. And then, of course, you get to the third pillar, which is, of course, detainment, rehabilitation, basically prisons. And well, prisons are in just a bad a state as anything else. But it just goes to show you a government that continuously loves to talk about the fact that we're the party of law and order. They don't really pay attention to the key things, the key institutions that really matter for law and order. But we're going to ask that question: why are barristers in a few weeks going on strike? Well, we'll get into that in a bit. But before we do that, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. So we go over to Guardian, who also asked this question. of why are criminal barristers in England and Wales striking, and what will the impact be? So, criminal barristers in England and Wales begin a series of strikes over legal aid and funding on Monday. And we'll explain why they are striking and what the impact is likely to be. So, why are they striking? The long awaited Criminal Legal Aid Review, or CLAR, published back in December, recommended that a minimum increase in legal fees of 15%. Members of the Criminal Bar Association say that is too low and want 25%. Junior barristers can also earn as little as £88 a day in court for bail application and are not paid for preparation work or travel, meaning that they can end up earning less than the minimum wage. The CBA says that specialist criminal barristers make on an average an annual income after expenses of at least £12,200 in the first 3 years of practice, and that 22% of junior criminal barristers have left since 2016. So even when you've got new intakes, new people coming through, they're leaving because they're just not being paid well enough. I mean, £12,000, if you think about that, that's nothing. That's nothing for someone at the moment. And of course, you put inflation on that, they're probably now going to be earning even less in the coming years. Yes, it is also agreed that the government did not respond to the CLAR until March, when it launched a 12-week consultation on reforms, further delaying an increase in fees, which will also not apply to approximately 58,000 backlog cases in the Crown Courts. So what will the action involve? Well, it's going to be walkouts begin on Monday and Thursday, and each week a number of walkout days will increase by one until there are at least a 5-day strike in the week beginning of the 18th of July. For Monday, barristers will also not accept instructions for new cases. Additionally, continuing industrial action, which will begin on the 11th of April, criminal barristers will also refuse to accept returns when they step in to replace the original barrister at a court hearing at the letter can no longer attend. So what impact will this have? Well, cases will have to be adjourned or postponed, and exacerbating the backlog in Crown Courts, which currently stands at about 58,000 cases. A little has changed from 6 months. Also, despite the lifting of COVID restrictions last year, a parliamentary committee has blamed the backlog on legal aid budget cuts being slashed by about 40% in less than a decade. So this is, you can see why they're striking. There are legitimate reasons why they are doing this. And as we said, back in 2014, they did one, but it was called off after a day and a half. And the government suspended their plans back then. But they haven't done anything, and now it's set to get worse. So what does the government say? It says that less than 50% of CBA members have voted in support of the option likely to cause the most disruption: the no returns, no new instructions, and strikes. Although, in total, 81.5% of the voters backed one of the 3 options on the ballot sheet that included strikes. It also adds that he's trying to introduce a 15% increase on fees by the end of September, which it says would mean a typical criminal barrister earning about £7,000 extra a year. So they would go from what, 12 to 19,000? Again, that's still not a lot. That's still not a lot when you add that up. Going from 12 to what, 19,000? That's still not a lot. So, as we said before, there is going to be a summer of strikes, and this barrister strike, along with the train strike, looking at council striking as well. Unison is talking about rolling out strikes as well for teachers and other things as well. And all these are a direct consequence of Tory policy for the last, almost 15 plus years at this point. They've got no one else to blame but themselves. You can't blame Labour. You can't blame the Lib Dems. Whatever get out clause they want to try and blame, there is no one to blame but for the councillors themselves. And ultimately, for a party that loves to talk about being the law and order party, when you actually really look at what they do, they've given very, very little attention to, as we said at the beginning, those three pillars that are the very core and system of law and order. Yes, they might have given, money to the police, but they have drastically ignored courts and judges and what goes on in that system, as well as the prisons as well. So, as always, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there is a link to my Patreon page and a motivation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.